not about control. Standing. It's a relationship. Based on respect. These animals are thinking, I gotta eat. I gotta hunt. You gotta be able to relate to at least one of those things.
Every time we've unveiled a new attraction, attendance has spiked.
That was awesome!
Corporate felt genetic modification would up the wow factor.
They're dinosaurs. Wow enough. She was designed to be bigger than a T-Rex.
What happened to the sibling?
She ate it. We have an asset out of containment. What is that?
Her tracking implant, she clawed it out.
How would it know to do that?
She remembered where they put it in.
Oh, God.
She's killing for sport.
I'm John Landrine, and this is Merlin English, and welcome to Ministers of the Movies.
What we want to present to you today is just an overview of movies, and the one we've selected is Jurassic Park, to share with you our view as to whether or not we view it's worth your entertainment dollar and your entertainment investment. This is not a detailed assessment from a critical viewpoint. You get enough of that on the internet already, so we just want to share with you our thoughts as to whether or not this movie is worth going to in terms of entertainment.
And also a little bit differently, instead of the normal thumbs up, what we'll give you is just tell you, just straight to earth, is whether you should go see it in the movies, which you might say is a thumbs up, go see it in the movies, or whether you should just maybe wait until this is on streaming, like on Netflix, on TV. That would essentially be a thumbs down. Or we'll give it a thumbs sideways, which means maybe you might want to just wait till it comes out on streaming, on video. So we'll either go to the movies, wait till it's on video, or just don't worry about it. And then we'll also give it another rating, and that's a Christian perspective. You know, the rating systems the way they are now, your G and your PG, and who knows what that means. I mean, some of their, what they think is acceptable, a lot of us just don't, especially that thing like about adult language. I don't know, adults I know don't talk like that, period. So, so things like that. So we'll tell you whether it's something that's okay, for the family and from a Christian perspective, or maybe if, whoa, you might want to stay away.
All right.
So this week, we'll go ahead and start with our first movie of the week, and that is Jurassic World. Let's check it out.
You got 20,000 people. You got no more boats. You don't have enough guns.
If we do this my way.
You got eyes on target?
Light it up!
Something's wrong. They're communicating.
We're talking about an animal here.
A highly intelligent animal.
Wow. I got to tell you, Merlin, I like this one. When you're talking about that hunger you have for that summertime roller coaster, blockbuster that just gives you all the thrills, I think they hit the mark with this one. One of the first things I really noticed and I liked was that this Jurassic World, this is a theme park. The other movies, it was supposed to be a theme park, but aside from seeing people ride around in their Jeeps, I never got a feeling of an amusement park. This is an amusement park right to the letter. I mean, from the different attractions, the rides. The Kiddieland thing was great. I like the little kids riding around on the little dinosaurs. I thought that was incredible. At the hotel, you got a Hilton hotel. Every big theme park like that has its hotel on it. I think it looked really like a park. The product placement, as far as the advertisers and sponsors, it was well done because they had different places in the park. Every theme park's going to have your stores and your merchandising. They had that. Well, at one time they even talked about how Verizon was helping them with things. I think it just looked like a great actual park, someplace I'd surely like to go.
Oh, indeed. And John, I would agree with you. I mean, this movie was just fun.
Yeah.
I mean, if I could pick an adjective that describes it, the word would be fun.
Yes.
A lot of fun. One of the things that struck me earlier on in the movie, as a matter of fact, the first couple scenes or so, was just the majestic beauty of the greenery. I mean, as the boat was approaching the island, and as they were doing elevated shots of the mountainside and the greenery and so on and so forth, it was just absolutely stunning. I mean, it certainly was a place that you would like to take a vacation.
Yeah.
Okay. And felt that you could enjoy yourself immensely. So I really, really enjoyed the greenery or the greenscape as it was. And I would agree with you as well. As compared certainly to the first Jurassic, I can see why they call it more Jurassic World versus Jurassic Park. Because clearly this was an extension, a significant extension of the framework of what was delivered earlier through Jurassic Park. Much bigger, much grander technology-wise. Technology was proliferated everywhere. Holographics, etc., in terms of things that were being served up to the patrons, and clearly you could tell that it was an entirely different level park, or in this case world, from the first movie.
They did. You're exactly right. What they did with Michael Crichton's original plot, they did. It's a natural development of the story. We know that in the beginning, they took the DNA from the dinosaurs. There's a few pieces missing. They added in frogs, I think it was, something like that.
Right.
Okay. Well, yes, in science, what would they do? They would eventually just start throwing everything in there. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. And that just makes sense. It really does. And to throw things in it to try to make a more attractive, fiercer, a more intelligent animal, that's exactly what they would do in a case like this. So, they did a great job on expanding the storyline. They kept it tight. They kept it real. I've heard some critics say something like it didn't. The CGI, the computer graphic imagery, and the set direction and the special effects didn't have that so-called wow factor. I totally disagree. For me, that special effects isn't such that you see something and it makes you go, oh wow. For me, special effects is when you take something that's implausible or totally impossible and make it look so real that it seems natural. That's special effects. Right. And in this, I mean, you saw dinosaurs walking around, kids, playing around with little tyrannosauruses or whatever they are, and pterodactyls coming down, swooping people up. Seemed normal. I think it looked terrific. Just a really good
Yes, I would agree with you. Special effects were on point, and certainly what you would expect, particularly in kind of recent years. As you know, movies over the last decade or so have made significant strides in terms of CGI and leveraging digital technology for special effects in a very seamless way. And certainly I would have expected that a reboot or a new rendition, if you will, of Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, would have utilized that technology in a very effective way, and they did.
Right.
And so it was a beautiful movie in terms of special effects, very seamlessly integrated, and again, you would expect that. And I think at some level we've a little bit muted with regards to special effects because we've just seen so many of them over the years. via the superhero movies and Transformers, etc. So it is kind of hard to impress us a bit when it comes to special effects because pretty much we've seen a lot of it, and people have been very creative in terms of some earlier movies. But they utilized it well. They utilized it effectively in terms of playing the story out and telling the story. It was not overwhelming.
Right.
I've seen some movies whereas the special effects are so dominant and so fast moving until it just overwhelms you, and you're trying to just keep up with what's going on the screen.
Exactly.
Well, this movie was not like that, and so I thought the special effects were used very soundly.
An all-around great job. These guys, Colin Trevorrow, just directed it so well. I mean, it's done right. What we talked about just last week, some of the things that were missing in San Andreas, that ability to build suspense. This is another movie where you know what was going to happen. I mean, it happens all the time. As soon as they build a park, they put dinosaurs in it. Well, something gets crazy. So you knew what was going to happen, but there was still some. They built up to it a little bit. I love the Chris Pratt. I believe it was that character. A sort of a dinosaur whisperer, if you will, who's training the raptors, and that also makes sense, and it's also development of the movie. They talked about so far before how they were so intelligent. Yes, it makes sense. Eventually, somebody would try to sort of train them and work with them. So that was well done too. So I'm just all around. My vote would be you need to rush out and see this movie right now.
Yeah, me as well. I love the characters and how they build the characters. The chemistry between the Chris Pratt character and the Bryce Howard character. I thought that was nice. There was a little kind of push-pull and going on there between those two, trying to kind of figure out where they're going to go relationship-wise. And so I thought that was done well. Then there were the two nephews. Who were part of this one, this movie as well, caught into a situation whereas obviously they were in harm's way, so I thought the characters were developed well. I thought there was chemistry between the characters and so on and so forth. Now the only I guess, and I wouldn't call this a negative actually, but just a point of fact. Relating to the movie. If you're looking to see something significantly different, well, you're not going to see that here. The story that was told earlier on with the original Jurassic that went very, very well. This story, you can see some of the same elements in it. There's the, not the grandkids as was in the first one. They're the nephews.
You got to have some kids.
Right, you got to have kids there. And then there's the the head of the park, etc. There's the let's call them bad guys with ulterior motive that shows up that kind of results in some extra difficulty in terms of chaos and so on and so forth. Yeah, it's similar to the first one, right? And as you know, the first one was one with the soundtrack. John Williams, I believe, was the writer of the music. There was a bit of magic that was experienced in the first one, right? And even though the special effects are outstanding in this one. In the first one, in the early and infancy stage of some of the CGI technology, there was an awe factor that you did experience when you saw that dinosaur that really looked real on the first time, right? And now you've seen so many things through CGI. It's kind of difficult to have that feeling or that sense of something new and something special. But that's just a reality of just the utilization of the technology and the exposure that we've had to it over the years. That's made us a little bit numb by some things that we see on the big screen. Certainly, it's not a condemnation of the movie. I thought what they did, the storyline was played out well. The characters played out well. The special effects were integrated very, very, very effectively and worked well relative to the plot line. But if you're looking for something that's real, different, and new, and that kind of takes you to a whole nother place in terms of experience. This is a fun experience, and you will enjoy the ride, but it's not going to leave you with a feeling of, in allness relative to something that's kind of that's something you're experiencing for the first time. Although again, they implemented it so well until that didn't take away from it at all.
Well, on that point, yes, there's it's not new, but it doesn't feel like old leftovers either.
Right.
It's not like they just rehashed it and just threw something together to just get people to make some money. It did develop at least to something else. One of the other things that I really liked is that you don't have to have seen the other movies to enjoy this. You could know nothing about, I don't know who does, but you could know nothing about the other two movies or completely have forgotten them and still enjoy this equally as well. At the same time, if you are very familiar with the whole storyline, they make subtle references to the past in a brilliant way. The guy first has on the T-shirt,
Right.
and then the kids stumble across the original park, and things like that, and the Hammond Hall, and
Right.
Things like that give you subtle hints to the past. I think they did it. I think they did it very well.
Oh, yeah.
So your overall view, what do you say?
Oh, definitely. I see it at the movies, and it is a fun, fast-paced.
Definitely.
One of the other things I liked about it, the
Yes,
action
the
started
movie.
early in the
It
movie.
did.
I mean, you didn't get, it wasn't it didn't play out storyline, whereas you were 30 minutes into the movie before it picked up. It picked up early.
It did.
And so if you're interested in a fun ride, really getting entertainment value out of your movie dollars, then I would strongly and highly recommend this film.
Indeed. I feel exactly the same way. Go see it right now. It's worth it, even if you can't catch the matinee.
Indeed.
I'd say. Now, how do you feel about the Christian perspective? How do you feel? How do they do on that?
Well, the only, I guess, it was, for me, it kind of worked a bit. There was one innuendo that the Chris Pratt character made, sexual innuendo.
Right.
But that's the only one I recall, and it wasn't anything graphic, etc. And then on the plus side, you had the Chris Pratt character that was really about doing what he could to kind of help protect and save the patrons. I thought that was good.
Right, exactly,
and even those who had perhaps more of a business priority in terms of what was motivating them, at some point saw the need to move off of that in the best interest of the patrons and some of the issues that were and some of the risks that they were exposed to. Money was important, if you will. Business success was important, but it did have its limits. So in that regards as well, it shows a little bit more, some measure of moral standards, which they weren't willing to cross, even chasing the success and prosperity of the financial side of the park.
Yeah, I agree. It was clean. It was clean, and something else I like is that there isn't the presence of a really bad, evil character. Even the so-called worst guy in the movie, has a very self-centered agenda. Okay, the guy reminds me of. It looks just like a young Brian Denny. He just really reminds me of. But he has a self-centered agenda in using the Raptors and everything. But he doesn't have an evil thought. He's not doing this. He wants to see everybody get killed. He just doesn't have that. So he's a little, self-centered in the fact that he wants his thing working, his thing, and make some money. But and like you say, eventually even he, gets to looking at this and feels a little bit. So there's nobody here is really a bad, evil character. And again, with a movie like this, they could have went crazy with graphic violence. They just didn't do it. They kept it pretty clean.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, oftentimes when sometimes, I want to say oftentimes, but occasionally where there are reboots of movies, and one example I would give is the Batman reboot, whereas the Michael Keaton Batman was kind of, let's say more or less light fare for the most part. But when they moved to the Christian Bale Batman, it was darker, edgier. Atmosphere was quite a bit different, and it worked. And it worked for rebooting that particular franchise.
Right.
Well, the reboot of Jurassic via Jurassic World really kind of stayed with the same heart and theme of the original movie. Still focused on a movie that would appeal to kids, and so they took really the elements of success that they had experienced from the original movie and utilized many of them in terms of this now rebooted franchise, and it worked well.
Well, there you have it. Folks, as far as ministers of the movies, Merlin and I both say, go see this right now. It's good. It's the perfect summertime movie. Loved it. Just a great job. And we also both think that it gets a halo because it keeps it clean. It's nothing that you really need to cover up the kids' eyes with. It's a family movie. Take the kids, go see this. And then join us next week as we go see Terminator?
It should be out.
Possibly.
All right.
Thanks. We'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.
Yeah, that was. Man, that's it. I like the product placement too. That was just so genius. And the product, water splashing. That's brilliant. That they do it.
Well, what's that park down in Even had the front row had the rainbows.